What's going on, guys? Today we are going to be talking about the Marvel Parliament as well as the layoffs that just happened with Disney and more specifically the MCU. The 1,000 or more layoffs that just happened in their special effects branch of the MCU, as well as like legal and other producing areas. But more or less, why I think some of those layoffs should have happened in the Parliament, or at least who should be included or replace these people in the Parliament. So it's a whole mess. Let's jump in this and let's talk about it. So for those of you who don't know, the MCU has their own version of the X-Men's Quiet Council. And these people are in charge of certain areas within the MCU's film and television area. So at the top, you have Kevin Feige, and then you have his Quiet Council, or the Parliament as they're so lovingly called. So rather than just list them, we're going to go through them one by one, what they were responsible for, and whether or not I believe they should still hold their position, and if they should be let go along with these 1,000 or more people who were let go. Because to be all honest, like the reason for these 1,000 more people who were let go was because, you know, a lot of restructuring happened within the MCU because of movies and films not doing great. So, you know, the new CEO of Disney was like, hey, like, you guys are not doing what you guys used to do. There is no point to having this many people here, especially since we're changing our schedule to accommodate for the financial failures that have happened. And so I personally believe people in the Parliament have some responsibility to bear here, and should have also, their job should have at least been called into question. So again, rather than going one by one, like saying all their names, we're going to go through one by one of what they've done, and whether or not, you know, their job should be called into question, and who I think should either be added to the Parliament or the Quiet Council, as I call them, or at least replace those who need to go. So let's jump into this. First person we're going to be talking about is Nate Moore. Nate Moore handles the area of the grounded film, TV series, the political series, and he was attached to such projects, right? So he was behind Black Panther and Wakanda Forever. I will put an asterisk by that because as a producer, you take on a bunch of roles. You're responsible for picking the script and all that other stuff. But with Black Panther and Wakanda Forever, I believe those jobs went to Coogler. Like, he was responsible for a lot of the Black Panther success behind the scenes. I can see Nate being responsible for the day-to-day logistics, like the guy who got the script supervisor together, who was handling and making sure they stayed on budget, maybe finding locations. But as for picking like casting and scripting and stuff like that, like I don't think Nate had any room in there. He's also responsible for Captain America: Brave New World and Thunderbolts, both of which were mixed, but in my opinion were both flops. And so for that reason, I think his position within the Parliament should be in question. Just so you guys know, at the same point, these guys are just not like nobodies in the sake of being nobodies. These are people who also, you know, they did grind from the beginning, you know what I mean? They were assistants and assistants, you know what I mean? These are people who were around Kevin Feige, grinding it from the bottom up, and who became producers. So I don't want to take that away from them. They have been here since day one of the MCU, but just because you were here from the beginning doesn't mean that your decision making hasn't led to some bad things happening, like 1,000 plus people being let go. So let's talk about Jonathan Schwartz, okay? So Jonathan Schwartz is behind the Marvels and Shang-Chi. Rumor has it, right, they're in development for part 2 to Shang-Chi, but we will see once we get there. And there's no other way to put it. Both of these things were flops. And again, his position in the Parliament needs to be in question, right? So let's move on. Trin Tran, and again, she's another lifer. She's been here for a minute. I think personally she has had more successes than she's had failures, and she handles like event films and Avengers leveled TV shows and films. She's okay. In Phase 5 and 6, right, her projects are going to be, or would have been, King Dynasty, which is now Doom, and Secret Wars, right? So she's the producer behind that. But she was previously the producer behind Avengers Infinity War, as well as Endgame. She was a producer behind Captain Marvel. The only flop. So, but again, more successes. So she deserves her spot. And again, she was somebody who started from the bottom and worked their way up. She deserves her spot. She's there forever. She's doing well. The next person we're going to talk about is Eric Carl or Carol. I'm not sure, whatever. We're talking about Eric. And okay, so we're talking about Eric. And so he's in charge coming phase 5 and 6, right? He's in charge of Spider-Man 4 in development, right? We know we're getting that. That's Brand New Day. And he was in charge of Spider-Man No Way Home and Spider-Man Homecoming and Spider-Man Far From Home. So like he's had success, massive hits, everything sold, for sure. A keeper in his little corner, the Spider-Man corner has been a success. He's doing well. I don't think his job should be called in question. He's been a moneymaker. And now we're at Steven Broussard. This guy, right? He is the experimental guy. He is a comedy guy, a corner of the MCU. Phase 5 and 6, he handled Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. He's also handled all the Ant-Man before. And so I get it. He's the experimental dude, but again, his place in the parliament needs to be called in question. He needs the answer for some things. If I was one of the 1,000+ people that were laid off because of some decisions he has made, I would be like, hey, we need to talk to this guy. He led us here, right? He's the leader. He's one of the leaders. I think his position needs to be called in question. The next person I'm going to talk about is Brad Renderbaum. I don't have anything much negative to say about him. Everything he's been a part of has been a hit. Loki, What If, the Daredevil series. I mean, like the only thing, and he's like the Disney Plus multiverse guy. And so other than having multiverse fatigue, which I haven't had, but I know a lot of people who are ingesting the MCU content they're just over it, don't like it. But you can't face the facts that like everything that he's done has been a hit. He's made good money for Marvel. He's made some great shows come out of it. And yeah, we're on track, I think, mostly because of like what he's done. And so Daredevil is a massive hit right now, and we're doing good. I mean, like if you want to take in the mixed bag, his most mixed stuff is probably Hawkeye. But other than that, I think he's done well. So again, he's responsible for What If, Loki, Daredevil Born Again, and Hawkeye. So I think he earned his spot. I think he needs to stay. I think Eric and Tran need to stay. They're the most consistent, strong producers are Nate and Brad. But the most in question, the most unqualified is Steven and Jonathan. I don't know if they're going to keep their positions, but I mean, obviously they are going to keep their positions, but I think they need to answer for the 1,000 people who were let go. And I think they do bear some responsibility for that. Whether or not, again, will their leadership being called into question, I don't know, but I think it should. So you know me, guys. You know how I feel about this stuff. I hate coming up with all this bad news with no solution. Here's my solution. I have 3 people that Disney can hire that are already in their wheelhouse that they can add to the parliament, their quiet council, that I think would be effective. Great additions to this. Because I think some shaky stuff is already happening. As we know from the director of the upcoming X-Men film, he is in love with the Claremont run of the X-Men. As we know, Chris Claremont was very much inspired by the civil rights movement that was happening at the time, or that had happened in the past. And the writers, although people of color, I do not believe are the right writers for that type of vibe. Now, one can argue that Chris Claremont was a white man writing inspirations of the African American struggle, and so if Chris Claremont can do it, they can do it also. But I think with the simple addition, you would at least streamline a clean and concise, relatable material that would not be in question, if that makes sense to you guys. And that is Ryan Coogler. I think Ryan Coogler being added to the parliament not only adds a welcome director, an Oscar award-winning director, but again, somebody who knows what he's doing and could be a good streamline when it comes to writing original content when it comes to the MCU. Like, I think. Listen, I have not seen The Boys. I have read The Boys as a youth. I probably shouldn't have read it. However, I like the creativity of the show. What I have seen of it, right? They went totally left from the comic book source. They're not bar from bar, but they've done it with such creativity. And I think that Coogler has such originality that he could bring that to the MCU comic book movies when, branching off and making something original from something old. I think he could bring that to this industry. It really needs it too. It really needs it because the Boys, let me tell you, I famously told friends that, like, I could tell you bar from bar what's going to happen in The Boys, and wait till you get to the Black Noir reveal. But when The Boys did the Black Noir reveal, it was completely different. And I think that's what the MCU needs. And Ryan Coogler, again, with his originality, could bring that to a series or a film where it's like there are fans out there who've read the comic book, right? And could tell you what's going to happen bar from bar. But that type of originality and creativity to go left and do it successfully, right? Because people love The Boys. They love it. They love everything that goes down with it. I mean, I know how it happened in the comic book, so I can't watch it right now. It's not what I grown up with, but I cannot deny that it is a successful show and people love it. And I think that kind of originality within the Parliament could help the MCU in many areas, but also somebody who is so tapped into the culture, the Black culture, could also make sure that the X-Men are on the right path. And the other two additions is a no-brainer, and that is the Russo Brothers. Everything they have done for the MCU has been a success. It is beyond me why they don't already have positions within the Parliament. They should be there. If anything, the Marvel, the MCU Parliament should answer to these three guys, and these three guys should be the quiet council that sits above the Parliament, and then Kevin Feige. I think it only makes sense. But anyways, the Russo brothers are phenomenal when it comes to their films. All of their films have been massive. They know how to film scale without making it look like an overblown spectacle, in my opinion. That's my three additions, are people that should be added to the MCU Parliament or the Quiet Council. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. I am starting this channel and I really like what I'm doing, and if you like what I'm doing, please subscribe, do all the fun stuff. So every little bit helps, man. But yeah. So anyway, guys, stay excellent, and I'll catch you guys later.